Okay, hi grade nines. This is video number 2 for week 5, and I'm going to be demonstrating question 7D. Okay, so question 7D has a couple of interesting things going here. Here's what I'm going to do a what did I notice type of observation. I notice that I have D on both sides, D on both sides. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, anyways, I also have the distributive property, which I'm not going to write out. So I have the distributive property, well, you know, and I've got fractions to deal with. And so I got lots of things going on here. And like I said, you know, we're at the tail end of this unit, and so you need to be sort of like carpentry, and you're a really skilled carpenter. In other words, you know how to use a saw, you know how to use a hammer, and you can build all sorts of things. In other words, you guys know, like, you have different techniques, cross multiplying, right? Multiplying both sides by a lowest common multiple. There are techniques and skills which you've learned and accumulated and you've built up over the last 4 weeks, and hopefully you can do more complex questions. Now, of course, you know, that would depend on me showing you how to do a few of these as examples, which I'm happy to do, of course. So let's start with this one. So we've got 3 over 4D, okay? D plus 2, all right, equals 2/3 D. All right, here's what I would do. I would just sort of do a simple little rewrite to begin with, okay? And it's just a way of dealing with these denominators, okay? Some of you may feel that, you know, the denominators are kind of a challenge to tackle. So let's do a little simple rewrite. Let's interpret this question a little bit differently. So let's do 3D plus 2 all over 4, yes, this is totally legit, equals 2D all over 3. Now, why would I write it like that? I would write it like that because then I'm starting to think, what does this inspire me to do? It inspires me to cross multiply. Okay, I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, so on one hand, I'm going to take this denominator and I'm going to multiply to everything over here, okay? And on the other hand, of course, I'm going to take, let's pick this green. I'm going to take this one, this denominator, right? And I'm going to multiply it to this side's numerator, okay? So let's see how that works out. Well, actually, let's just deal with the one I just did in green. So you got 4 times 2D, all right? And I can do that immediately. That's just simply a number. You're doing the quadruple of 2D, 4 times 2D. This goes back to our polynomial units. You know, remember that? Coefficient times coefficient, base times base. So 4 times 2D is 8D. Okay, so that is done. All right, now let me switch back to that orange I think I was using. All right, and over here, now watch, I've got 3, this 3 here, all multiplied, okay? And I'll switch back to the original blue just to show you. So what was this expression over here? Well, it was 3D plus 2, okay? All multiplied. Okay, so you know what? The way to think of this is whatever this works out to be inside, you're getting the triple of it. So when you do the distributive property, it just bounces to the first number. These brackets sort of protect the D plus 2. They're protected from the outside 3, all right? If we were distributing this 3, and we can do that, and in fact, I will do that just to show you what's going on here, okay? So let's just do it the first way I was going to do, which is just to take this 3 and bounce it to this 3, okay? So 3 times 3 is 9, and the expression I should have is D plus 2. And to carry this on, to follow through and finish my thought here, so then we would distribute the 9, and this would be 9D plus 18. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here and not pause the video, but I'm going to pause the action of solving this question. And over here in purple, I just want to show you that it actually doesn't matter the order because it's based on this concept of the order of multiplication doesn't matter. So watch what happens when I do the inside distribution first. Look what happens when I do the inside distribution. Okay, whoops. Spazzed out on my pen there. Okay, so let's multiply 3 right through this binomial, okay, of 3d plus 2. So this 3 on the outside is just hanging out, okay? It's like waiting. You inside folks, like you got to figure out what you're going to what the result of this is. What is the result of this distributive property? 3 times d is 3d, okay? So 3 times d is 3d, and 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 times 2. So in other words, we had 3 times d, right? I'm just breaking down how I did this multiplication. And 3 times 2 became the 6. All right. So you have 3 outside and 3d plus 6. Now you're going to distribute again. So you're going to multiply 3 through both of the terms inside. And you have 3 times 3d. Okay, 3 right there. 3 times 3d. And 3, okay, this 3 here, times 6. Now watch what happens. What are we hoping for? I'm hoping for that, no matter which way I did it, I get a 9d plus 18. And guess what? That's exactly what we get. 3 times 3d is 9d. 3 plus 6, is not plus 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay? So we did get the same result. So you could start with the outer outside of distribution and do that. Or you could start with the inside distribution. And I guess if you're following strict BEDMAS, maybe it's supposedly better to do this first. It's up to you, okay? I really will pause the video because I'm going to need more space. And I just wanted to show you that the distributive property, because the order of multiplication doesn't matter, and that kind of applies here. You could do the outside first, or you could do the inside first. You should get the same answer. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So I'm just going to finish erasing this arrow. All right. So what was the net result of all this simplifying I was doing, right? So I'm just going to continue on with up here with red. Okay. So over here on the right side, we ended up with equals 8d, and over here we ended up with 9d plus 18. So let's glue those back together. 9d plus 18 is equal to 8d. All right. So in other words, the whole simplification of doing this, of dealing with my fractions, and I chose to do it through cross multiplying, the simplifying basically ends up to be at this point. All right. Once I'm done I've dealt with the fractions, the denominators, then I dealt with the distribution, and my result, my simplified result is this. This is still essentially a two-step equation, but it's we got to do a little bit more work here. Okay. Now, it's up to you. Some students, a lot of students kind of have this left to right. This is the way we read English language. They have a left to right bias. Okay. So in other words, and I'm guilty of it too, because I often, when I tell students, hey, your whole goal in algebra is to get D equals. And I seem to obsess about putting the D on the left. But it's also legit to say the D equals here. Okay? All right? I'm just pointing it out. How you isolate the variable is up to you. All right? So I'm just going to erase this and let's go for what's gonna happen now. So do you want the constant on this side or do you want the D on this side? In other words, one side, the left side and the right side, you either have to, you have to have the variables on this side and the numbers on this side. Hey, there goes my classroom lights. Or you've got to vice versa, okay? And again, it doesn't matter if you start your sentence with D equals or equals D, doesn't matter. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 8D from both sides. Something curious is about to happen. So you got 9d minus 8d, and that's equal to a d. That's beautiful. And you've got d plus 18. What happens here? Okay. These equal signs drive me crazy. What happens here? You get a 0, okay? You actually get a 0. And that's okay. You can actually zero out a whole side. That's not a big deal because as you carry on to isolate the variable, you can subtract both sides, 18 from both sides, and d is equal to a negative 18. I'm just going to rewrite that with a better equal sign. I'm going to start playing around with this new pen of mine and change the touch settings so that maybe I don't spaz out so much. Anyways, d is equal to negative 18. And if you were to check it, you would get the right answer. Okay? All right. That's the hint or the demonstration of question 7D. I'll move on to one in question 8.